Right now, at this very moment, a winter storm is forming that meteorologists are calling unprecedented. Not just dangerous, not just severe, unprecedented. And here is what nobody is telling you. This storm will hit areas that have not seen this kind of ice accumulation in 50 years. 50 years. Dallas could face over 1 inch of freezing rain, 1 full inch of ice coating everything. Power lines, trees, roads, everything. But that is just the beginning. Stay with me for 30 seconds, and I will show you the exact timeline of when this storm hits your area, minute by minute, so you can prepare before it is too late. The National Weather Service is tracking wind chills of 65 degrees below zero in the northern plains. 65 below. That is not a typo. That is colder than the surface of Mars on some days. And this Arctic blast is racing south, heading straight for states that rarely see temperatures below freezing. Here is your first critical checkpoint. By Friday afternoon, freezing rain begins across Oklahoma, Kansas, and Arkansas. By Friday evening, Dallas and Fort Worth enter the danger zone. By Saturday morning, the entire southern United States, from Texas to the Carolinas, will be under siege. And here is what I promised you at 30 seconds. The exact areas facing the greatest danger are Oklahoma City, Little Rock, Nashville, Dallas, Shreveport, Atlanta, and the entire I-10 corridor from Texas through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and into Georgia. If you live in any of these areas, write this down. You have less than 72 hours to prepare. Now, you might be thinking this is just another winter storm warning, just another forecast that will blow over. But here is what makes this different, and this is where things get shocking. The European Weather Model, which is the most accurate long-range forecasting system in the world, is showing 12 inches of snow near Oklahoma City. 12 inches. In Oklahoma, Little Rock could see the same. Nashville is looking at up to 1 foot of accumulation. These are cities that shut down with 2 inches. But snow is not the killer here. Ice is the killer. Dallas and Shreveport are projected to receive over 1 inch of freezing rain. Now, you need to understand what 1 inch of ice means. At just 1/10 of an inch, tree branches start snapping. At 1/4 inch, power lines begin collapsing. At 1/2 inch, major infrastructure fails. At 1 full inch, entire electrical grids can go dark for days, even weeks. And the models are showing 1 inch. Some areas could see even more. This is not fear-mongering. This is meteorological reality. The high-pressure system driving this Arctic air mass is measuring 1,054 millibars over South Dakota. That is one of the strongest high-pressure systems ever recorded in that region. And it is acting like a massive door, slamming shut, trapping the cold air in place with nowhere to go. Here is something fascinating that most meteorologists are missing. This is not a typical low-pressure system creating this storm. Usually, you get a big low-pressure system spinning in the southeast, pulling moisture and cold together. Not this time. This time, the high pressure is so intense, so powerful, that it is squeezing the Arctic air southward like a vice, forcing it to collide with Gulf moisture in a way we have not seen in 5 to 10 years. Think about it like this. Imagine 2 massive forces pushing against each other with nowhere to release the pressure. That pressure has to go somewhere. And it is going to release as ice and snow across 13 states. Now, let me tell you what happens Wednesday, because understanding the timeline is critical to your safety. Wednesday brings a small Alberta clipper through the Midwest. Chicago, southern Wisconsin, Michigan, they will see 1 to 2 inches. Nothing major. This is just the opening act, the calm before the storm. And honestly, if you are in the Midwest, you might be thinking you are dodging the worst of it. You are not. Because while the South deals with ice, the Midwest and northern plains will face something equally dangerous. Wind chills of 60 degrees below zero north of Minneapolis. Some areas could hit 65 below. At those temperatures, exposed skin freezes in less than 5 minutes. Frostbite is not a risk. It is a guarantee. Thursday is the quiet day, the eerie calm. The day when the models show very little precipitation. But do not be fooled. Thursday is when that massive high-pressure system positions itself perfectly over the Dakotas and begins forcing Arctic air southward. Temperatures will plummet 30, 40, even 50 degrees in some locations within 12 hours. Friday is when everything changes. Friday afternoon, freezing rain begins across Oklahoma. Light at first. Just a glaze. But by 4 to 5 in the evening, if you are in Dallas, Fort Worth, or northern Texas, the freezing rain intensifies. This is not sleet. This is not snow. This is pure ice coating every surface. And here is the terrifying part. This storm is going to stall. Most winter storms race through in 12 to 18 hours. This one is going to park itself over the southern United States and dump ice for 36 to 48 hours straight. Why? Because the jet stream is not moving. That high-pressure system is so strong, it is blocking the normal west-to-east flow of weather systems. Everything is stuck. The cold air cannot move north. The moisture cannot move east. It is all just going to sit there and produce ice. By Friday night into Saturday morning, the European model shows very heavy freezing rain from central Mississippi through Dallas, Fort Worth, and Amarillo. Hours and hours of continuous ice accumulation. If this forecast verifies, and right now there is an 80% confidence level that it will, we are talking about widespread power outages affecting millions of people. Power outages in January. In below freezing temperatures for potentially 3 to 5 days. Here is what that means practically. No heat, no electricity, no way to charge phones, no internet, no running water if you have a well pump, and with a foot of snow or an inch of ice covering roads, emergency services cannot reach you. You are on your own. This is why preparation is not optional. This is why you cannot wait until Thursday or Friday. Saturday is when the storm reaches its peak intensity. That imaginary boundary between Arctic air and Gulf moisture just sits there, stretching from New Mexico through Virginia. And moisture keeps pumping in from the Pacific and the Gulf of Mexico, feeding this massive system. Freezing rain from West Texas all the way to South Carolina. Heavy freezing rain right through the middle. Light to moderate snow across the Central Plains. Tennessee, Nashville, possibly southern Kentucky. And remember, even light snow falling for 36 hours straight adds up to significant accumulation. Sunday morning, the storm finally starts crawling eastward. Ice and snow spread into the mid-Atlantic. This is likely going to be a cold air damming event, which is a technical term that means cold air gets trapped against the Appalachian Mountains and just sits there, producing ice. Georgia is in the crosshairs. Atlanta is in the crosshairs. And if you remember what happened to Atlanta during their last ice storm, you know this is not good. The city paralyzed for days. People stranded on highways overnight. Cars abandoned everywhere. Snow continues across Maryland, West Virginia, all the way back through Kansas. And by Monday, the Northeast might even see impacts. Let me put this in perspective for you. This could be more significant than the winter storm we saw just a few years ago that crippled the South. That storm brought misery. This one could bring crisis. And here is where faith comes in. I know many of you are people of faith. You trust in God's protection, and you should. But remember, faith without works is dead. James chapter 2, verse 17. God gives us the wisdom to prepare, the foresight to see danger coming, and the responsibility to act. Think of Noah. God warned him a flood was coming. Did Noah just pray and wait? No. He built an ark. He prepared. He took action while trusting God. That is what we are called to do now. Proverbs 27, verse 12 says, "A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences." This is not about fear. This is about wisdom. Now, let me show you the probabilities, because numbers do not lie. The probability of at least 1 inch of snow, over 90% from New Mexico through Oklahoma. Almost the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas will see at least 1 inch. That includes Virginia Beach, northern North Carolina, and Tennessee. 70% chance across almost all of Tennessee. But here is where it gets serious. The probability of more than 6 inches of snow near Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Fayetteville, Arkansas. We are now looking at 70 to 80% chance of greater than 6 inches. Over on the East Coast, probabilities are climbing rapidly. Virginia, southern Maryland, southern Delaware, you are now over 80% for a significant winter storm Friday and Saturday. That is essentially a guarantee. The only question left is how much. Now, before I show you the exact accumulation forecasts, I need to give you a disclaimer. This is early data. Models are still fluctuating on exactly where the heaviest snow falls and where the worst ice develops, but I want you to see how significant this could be. The European model currently shows a major swath of snow from Texas through Tennessee and Kentucky. Some spots near Little Rock and Oklahoma City showing around 12 inches. 12 inches in areas that rarely see snow. Why so much? Because this storm is barely moving. Cold air and moisture get trapped with no jet stream to push things along. So even lighter snow rates, falling for 36 hours straight, pile up fast. The GFS model, which is America's forecasting model, shows a similar setup but shifted about 100 to 200 miles further south. That is a massive difference. That could mean the difference between Dallas getting heavy ice versus heavy snow, between Atlanta getting hit hard versus dodging the worst. What do I think? I believe the European model has been more consistent, and the GFS is now starting to shift toward the European solution. So I have higher confidence in the European forecast right now. For the East Coast, the most significant snow will likely hit Virginia and North Carolina. The European model shows around 12 inches across much of Virginia and North Carolina. That would make this a historic winter storm for those areas. But let us talk about ice, because this is where things could become catastrophic. We could be facing a major ice storm from Dallas-Fort Worth through Louisiana, all the way into Georgia, Tennessee, and the Carolinas. And remember this critical fact. It only takes 1/100th of an inch of ice to create major travel problems. Just 1/100th. Most southern states do not treat their roads. They do not have the equipment. They do not have the salt. They do not have the experience. So when ice hits, everything stops. And we are not talking about 1/100th of an inch. We are talking about potential ice accumulations of 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, possibly 1 full inch in some areas. At 1/4 inch, power outages begin. At 1/2 inch, widespread outages are likely. At 1 full inch, catastrophic infrastructure damage occurs. Trees collapse. Power lines snap like thread. Roads become skating rinks. Saturday, Sunday, Monday could see major shutdowns across multiple states. And this is not just about you not being able to drive to work. This impacts everything. Supply chains, food delivery, medical services, small businesses already struggling. 3 days of closures across multiple states means economic damage in the tens of millions, possibly hundreds of millions of dollars. The GFS model shows the main ice corridor slightly further south with somewhat lower numbers, but it is still significant. Over on the East Coast, we could see a cold air damming event bringing significant ice to the Carolinas and Georgia. Again, specific numbers are too early to nail down precisely. But if you live in the South, the Southeast, or the Ohio Valley, you are in the impact zone. Ice is the primary concern. Snow is secondary, but still dangerous. Here is what you need to do right now. Not tomorrow, not Thursday, right now. First, if you have a generator, test it today. Make sure it runs. Get fuel. Store it safely. If you do not have a generator, seriously consider getting one. They will be sold out by Thursday. Second, batteries, flashlights, candles, lighters. Get them now. Third, charge every device you own. Phones, tablets, laptops, even devices sitting in a drawer for 5 years. Charge them all. A charged device could be the difference between being able to call for help or being cut off. Fourth, water. Fill bathtubs, fill pots. Fill every container you have. If power goes out, water treatment plants fail. No electricity means no water. Fifth, food. Non-perishable items. Things you can eat cold if necessary. Peanut butter, crackers, canned goods, protein bars. Sixth, medication. If you or anyone in your household takes regular medication, make sure you have enough for at least 7 days. Pharmacies will be closed. Seventh, heat source. If you have a fireplace, stock up on wood. If you have a propane heater, make sure you have fuel. People die from hypothermia inside their own homes during extended winter outages. Eighth, check on your neighbors, especially elderly neighbors, people living alone, people with medical conditions. This is what communities do. This is what faith in action looks like. Remember the parable of the Good Samaritan? The Levite and the priest passed by the wounded man, but the Samaritan stopped. He helped. He cared. Be the Samaritan. Ninth, move vehicles under cover if possible. Ice accumulation on cars can shatter windshields. It can damage paint. It can make vehicles unusable for days. 10th, bring pets inside. This is not weather for any living creature to be outside. Here is the timeline one more time, burned into your memory. Wednesday, light snow in the Midwest. Quiet before the storm. Thursday, Arctic blast positions itself. Temperatures plummet. Extreme cold in the north. Friday afternoon, freezing rain begins Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas. Friday evening, ice intensifies across Texas. Dallas enters danger zone. Saturday, peak intensity. Freezing rain from Texas to South Carolina. Heavy snow across multiple states. Widespread power outages begin. Sunday, storm crawls east. Mid-Atlantic and Northeast impacts. Ice continues in the south. Monday, lingering effects. Possible Northeast snow. South still recovering. The real-world possibility exists for widespread power outages from Texas through Georgia and South Carolina lasting several days, not hours. Days. This is the kind of storm that gets studied for years afterward. This is the kind of storm that makes history, and you are in the path. But here is the good news. You have time. 72 hours is enough time to prepare if you act now. Do not wait. Do not assume this will miss you. Do not think it will not be that bad. Models can be wrong about exact locations. They can be off by 50 or 100 miles, but they are not wrong about the overall pattern. A dangerous, historic winter storm is coming. Period. And here is something to think about. Maybe this storm is a reminder, a wake-up call. We live in an age where we think we control everything. We have technology, we have forecasts, we have infrastructure, but Mother Nature, or more accurately, God's creation, reminds us we are not in control. Psalm 147, verse 16 through 18. He sends the snow like white wool. He scatters frost upon the ground like ashes. He hurls the hail like stones. Who can stand against his freezing cold? Then at his command it all melts. We are not fighting against God. We are living within the natural order he created. And part of that order includes storms, includes winter, includes challenges that test us. But we also have minds. We have the ability to prepare, to help each other, to show grace under pressure. This storm will pass. It might take 3 days. It might take 5, but it will pass. And when it does, you will either look back and think, I am so glad I prepared, or you will think, I wish I had listened. Which person do you want to be? Here is what happens next. Keep watching this forecast. Things will change. Models will update. New information will come in, and I will be here to break it down for you. Tomorrow, we will likely have another update with more refined data. By Thursday, we will know exact accumulation amounts with much higher confidence. By Friday morning, we will have real-time radar showing exactly where the ice is falling. But do not wait for perfect information to start preparing. Perfect information comes too late. Act on good information now. And right now, the information is clear. A dangerous, potentially historic winter storm is barreling toward the southern United States. Meteorologists do not use words like unprecedented lightly. We have seen thousands of storms. We have studied weather patterns for decades. And when we say this is different, this is concerning, this could be one of the worst in 5 to 10 years, we mean it. The setup is rare. The ingredients are all coming together at exactly the right time, or exactly the wrong time, depending on your perspective. High-pressure blocking pattern, Arctic air mass, Gulf moisture, stalled jet stream, slow-moving system. Every factor that creates a major winter disaster is present. And here is the thing about disasters. They are only disasters if you are unprepared. If you prepare, if you plan, if you take this seriously, then it is just a difficult few days that you weather successfully. Your family stays safe, your home stays warm, your power stays on, or if it goes out, you have backup plans. You have food, you have water, you have heat, you have light. That is not disaster. That is resilience. And resilience is built before the storm hits, not during. So here is my challenge to you. Share this information. Send it to family in the impact zone. Call your parents in Oklahoma. Text your sister in Dallas. Message your college roommate in Nashville. Get the word out, because the news channels might not cover this with the urgency it deserves until Thursday or Friday. By then, stores are mobbed, supplies are gone, roads are already dangerous. You have the information now. Use it. And if this storm shifts, if the models change, if the forecast becomes less severe, wonderful. You have supplies you can use later. You have a generator ready for the next outage. You have peace of mind. But if this storm verifies as currently predicted, you could save lives. You could prevent suffering. You could be the reason your family makes it through safely. That is worth taking action. Remember, this is not about panic. This is about prudence, not about fear, about wisdom, not about doom, about preparation. God gives us tools. He gives us knowledge. He gives us forecasting models and meteorology and the ability to see storms coming days in advance. That is a gift. In ancient times, people had no warning. Storms hit without notice. Now we have notice. Are we going to waste that gift by ignoring it? I do not think so. So here is what I need you to do right now. Pause this video. Go to your Notes app. Write down the 10 preparation steps I gave you earlier. Then start checking them off, one by one. Generator, batteries, charging devices, water, food, medication, heat source. Check on neighbors, protect vehicles, bring pets inside. 10 steps, 72 hours. You can do this. And when this storm has passed, when the ice melts, when the power comes back on, when life returns to normal, you will have proven something important. You will have proven that you can face challenges head-on, that you can protect your family, that you can be the person others count on when things get difficult. That is who you are. That is who you are called to be. Not someone who hides from hard truths, not someone who assumes everything will be fine, but someone who sees reality clearly, plans accordingly, and acts decisively. The storm is coming. There is no doubt about that. The only question is, will you be ready? I believe you will. I believe you are the kind of person who takes responsibility seriously, who loves their family enough to prepare, who respects the power of nature enough to not take chances. And I believe that 72 hours from now, when freezing rain is coating Dallas and snow is piling up in Oklahoma City and ice is bringing down power lines across the South, you will be safe, warm, prepared, because you listened, because you acted, because you chose wisdom over complacency. That is my prayer for you. That is my hope. And that is why I am giving you this information with such urgency. Stay safe. Stay prepared. Stay strong. And I will see you in the next update with the latest information as this storm continues to develop. God bless you. God bless your families. And may God grant us all the wisdom to prepare and the strength to endure whatever comes. This is not the end. This is just weather. It is just a storm. And storms always pass. But how we handle them defines us. Let this storm show the world what you are made of. Be safe out there.